Yeah, pretty unique season. Obviously, we were a rebuilding organization, and I think we took a lot of positive strides and steps. Created a lot of momentum throughout the year. Credit to our staff. Just talked to the players. Credit to them. A lot of respect and appreciation for their approach and professionalism. I thought they really stuck with it. Had a tough start early on, and basically turned it into one of the best 30-game segments in the organization for a long time here. So. We got a lot of work to do. Starts with a big off season by those guys coming into camp in the best shapes of their lives and ready to get off to a better start and kind of carry over from what we did at the end of the year. So I got a lot of work to do in terms of personnel and making this team better. And if those guys continue to get better on their own, then we're gonna have a good team. A lot of it comes down to kind of supplementing the current group. I think when you look at our goaltending. Coming in, Antti Raanta hadn't been a starter before. We didn't have Darcy Kemper. We feel confident in that group back there that they can provide some strong goaltending. Obviously, Antti finished off with the second highest save percentage in the league, so that's a good sign. Defensively, did some good things. I think we ended up tied for second for even strength goals by defensemen, so created some offense from back there. I think when they're healthy, they're good. I think to assume that they're going to continue to be healthy is probably not a fair assumption, so we got to do a better job in terms of depth on the back end, and then majority of the bulk of our work's probably up front. So we need to add some higher end players up front, and add some depth, and continue to grow that group. And part of that is the work that's being done in Tucson and some of those young players evolving, and part of that falls on me. So that's how I see it. Coming in, I was pretty proactive in terms of what I felt needed to be done in order to build a better roster. Kind of create an environment where we felt like we had a chance to win every night. I think there's something to be said about stability as well. So there's going to be some changes, but I think we're looking for a few special opportunities to improve our group. They're tough deals to make. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but we'll go through our process and do our best to make some big moves to bolster our team. Had a lot of discussions, and the reality is one team will win the Stanley Cup, and there'll be 30 teams that aren't happy with their roster and want to make changes too. So the offseason, there's no salary cap. There's a lot more liquidity in the market. So for me as a manager, it's a lot easier to make those types of moves, and the draft's the time to do that. So certainly, laid some groundwork and hope to follow up on those conversations. I'm impressed with the staff. I think it's pretty well accepted. We're probably the most improved team in the league. And look, I think when you're evaluating coaches, you're evaluating a few things. I mean, you're not just looking at the record. You're looking at how that team evolves. And then just the mentality of your group, kind of the buy-in that they have, and the approach that they have day to day, and in their work ethic and practices, and then carrying that over into games. And I think there's things that the coaches can control, such as that, and there's things that the coaches are maybe outside of their control. And I think the things that they can control is how I evaluate them, and I thought they did an excellent job. So I think there's a lot of players that got better there, both young and old, and I thought they brought together the group in a really meaningful way. So nothing but high praise for that group. Yeah, we're gonna take a step back, kind of evaluate everything at this point. Have a lot of discussions. I've had some initial kind of preliminary discussions. Again, when a player's looking at potentially going to the UFA market, then they have the right to potentially take a look around and see what else is out there. So look, we think we have an attractive opportunity here in terms of where our team's headed, in terms of the opportunity in Arizona. So we'll keep having those conversations and see if there's something that makes sense for some of these guys. Yeah, they're good players. They're guys that did a nice job. Obviously, I'm happy for Connaughton, the way he finished the season. Guy works extremely hard, does a lot of good things. A real professional, real well liked in the team. So to see him do well is, it's a good thing to see. But again, he's got an opportunity to potentially go to the market and test it out, and we'll have discussions and see where it goes. And same thing with Brad. I think he's done a nice job here over his last 3 years. And a guy that brings a lot to our team, but it's all got to fit and make sense. And my job is to build a team, and you got to be disciplined, and it's got to make sense and it's got to fit. I spoke to Dylan. I told him, we have high expectations for him, and we've made him earn things. And playing, top 6 center position as a 20-year-old is a very difficult thing to do. And I think in his latest segment here where he came up and played, I thought he showed a lot of improvement. I thought he proved a lot of himself and to his teammates and the coaching staff that he can handle that type of role and be productive, and he's been productive his whole life. So it's always good to see progression. I think we've seen that with Dylan, and those guys they're unicorns to find a big center that can produce like that. So going into Tucson now in the playoffs, a guy that's done a lot down there, and just told him make the most of it and lead that team down there, and certainly the better he does down there and through that stretch, to say a lot about next year for him. It sounds kind of silly, but yeah, he did. I did expect that of him in terms of what he's capable of. I think a lot of credit too to his his line mates and teammates, and I think Rick Tocchet, the staff, helped him out along the way too. But at the same time, Clayton's a special player, great mindset, wants to get better, wants to learn, and came in and did a phenomenal job. And I think even of all the rookies, he's a guy that for us, he was our leader on offensively and keyed on early, and a lot of teams adapted to him after a big start, and he adapted back down the stretch and found a way to continue to contribute. So yeah, I can't say enough about what he did. Yeah, look, I think it was a transition for Oliver in terms of leadership and basically stepping up and making it his team. And again, things started off the way they did. It would have been easy to go the other way. I thought he took a lot of responsibility and grew his game. And again, for my money, I think that's the best I've seen him play. Really controlled things from the back end and showed why he's a special player. There's a lot of optimism, a lot of reasons for optimism, and again, I think the reasons are more than just a 30-game segment. I think when you look at it, it's a pretty good sample, and it shows that we can be one of the top teams in the league. We have that capacity, we have that ability, and we've got a lot coming. So you look at Tucson, I think they got a chance to win the Western Conference here down the stretch. Those are the types of teams we're looking to build. A team that can put up some banners, and that's what we're striving towards. So I think it's exciting. I think it's one of the most talented groups we've had in this organization, and really, really positive on the character of the group too to get us over the hump. Jacob Chikrin's a knee, fairly significant, but should be ready for training camp. They should all be ready for training camp. Derek Stepan had a foot he was playing through. Jason Demers had a hand injury. Dauphin had a knee. Hammer had a core injury. Dvorak was a sore back, but that was more preventative maintenance. And
not more of a maintenance thing too.
Yeah, he had a head injury, so just being smart at this time of year. Don't want to put anyone at risk. Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. I think, again, a guy that finishes basically at the top of the league in his category, we want to create a culture and a team where players perform and they get paid for that performance. So, I got to continue to build this team with an eye for the future. We got a lot of people who I have high hopes for and expectations that they can perform, and we got a plan for that. But to lock up, a starting goalie and a guy that, again, performed at a high level, I think that sends a strong message to our fans and what we're willing to do, and that commitment from our ownership. And again, as you build through the middle of the ice, we think we have a pretty good defense. We can build off of that. We think we have some solid goaltending. We can build off of that. And so getting Antti signed was a big part of it. Absolutely, yeah. I don't think there's any question about that. I think we've renewed to play here next year in Gila. I think, when you look at it, we acquired Alex Goligoski two off seasons ago, probably the top defenseman on the market. He bought in to come and play in Arizona. We made that commitment to him. And, I think when you look at last year, we had Nick Charmelson coming from Chicago, won Stanley Cups, had to waive his no-trade clause to come to us. We were able to attract him. And I just think, you look at Andy Barraway, his commitment to the market, all the things we've done in the community to integrate ourselves here. Been here for a long time now, obviously. I think you see 2 sellouts to finish the season. I think you're seeing some sellouts down in Tucson as well. I see no reason this can't be a top organization in the league. Now, having said that, there's a long way to go between where we are now and to be that. But, look at the Nashvilles, I look at the Pittsburghs, some other teams that have had some struggles. And, you get enough talented players and they go out and play an entertaining style of play and win hockey games, and that's what sells, and that's what we're focused on here. Yeah, some of them will, some of them are minor procedures, some of them are a little more major, but like I said, they'll all be ready for training camp, so rehab throughout the summer. Yeah, I'm going to have some exit interviews and talk. We have a lot of invitations. A lot of people are just a lot of different stages, so want to talk it over and see where they're at, but a lot of guys have the opportunity.